Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Long Pamay, and in this short video, I'll demonstrate how to create an application or a project with auto update feature using VBA. Okay, and I'll also demonstrate how to create a self restart feature within the same project. Before we begin, I want to give a quick shout out to all of you for your continued support. Your subs, likes, and shares have made a huge difference, so thank you so much. If you're new here, do not forget to subscribe for latest updates and also do support the channel. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so let me add a new blank workbook. I'll call this demo application 1.0. Okay. First, we're going to take a look at how to self-restart. As you know that when the workbook closes, the execution of the code will stop because, like the file closes everything in the VBA. So we will either need a second workbook or other Office applications, be it Word, Access database, and so on to, trigger the code and restart the application. But in this scenario, I'm going to use a batch file, which is super light and it does not take time or does not have dependency. So we'll write a small batch code. For that, it will be just a few lines of code. Okay, so let's start off by I'm gonna add a few lines of code here. We'll call this first will be echo off. So basically turning off the prompt, and then we'll add a timer. We'll wait for like 5 seconds or so to time out before it executes the next line. So here basically we are gonna use this start command, okay, and then in this scenario we are basically gonna start Excel application. So excel.exe, it's the same as like you're typing excel.exe here, yeah, and then in the command, and then from here we just want to say point to the file. So let's say that we want to start off this file. I'll copy the path and I'll put it here. So that's pretty much the command line that we have to write for this one. Okay, so let me save it here. Let's call this temp.bat. Okay, I'm gonna save this and close it. So if you right click, you'll see echo off, basically turning off the prompt, setting a timer, timeout, and then we are starting this application. So let's start this example. Just close this for now. So when I run this, it will start this, okay? Yeah, this app is started. So basically the idea now will be to create this file on runtime, and then we will close the, before we just close the file, we'll trigger this particular file to run, yeah, using the shield command, and then it will reopen the file. Okay, so this way, it becomes really useful when you have to especially work with auto updates, and then you have to reapply certain settings and configurations. So it becomes useful from that standpoint. Okay, so first let's try this out. I'm gonna go into my code editor, and let's call the first as we'll just call this function shield execute, and then we'll take a parameter, maybe bat file path, something like that, as string, and this will return true or false. And what we want to do here is we'll just use the shield command. Here we just want to again use a command to execute this particular file. Okay, later on when we write the auto update and upgrading the your project, we are going to reuse all these codes. So first will be let's say command.exe, and then comes your the path that will be passing from here. So That's file path. Pretty much that. So if I have to test this out now, subtest shell exe. So we're just gonna test this code now. I'll say this and this. Okay. So if I have to say now that this workbook.close, and I'll just save it. Okay. Now just before closing this file, I'll just trigger this and then it will close this file. Yeah. Let's just call this test restart rather. That will be more appropriate. Okay. In case it crashes or something, I'll just take a backup. Okay, so this takes one parameter of the file and then it's basically gonna do a command and then it's gonna open this file, whatever file is passed, and then that's it. This will basically call this to start to trigger this, and then in the meantime this file will close. When this file is triggered in 5 seconds, it's gonna restart this same file. Yeah. So let me run this. So it's closed the file. As you can see down here, it's starting automatically. And here is our file restarted itself. Okay, so that's how you can do a restart. Again, this part is dynamic. You can be dynamic. It doesn't have to be the same file. You can pre-program this file, or you can also create this file on runtime itself. So I'll quickly demonstrate that as well. I'm going to call this function create. Let's call create that file, and here we'll take two parameter, the Excel file to start and what will be the batch file name. Okay, so let's call this file path as string, and then Excel file target Excel file. Let's call this target Excel file as. This file can be really anything, okay, but in this scenario we are using Excel. This can be replicated for Access application or any other application that you will be programming using VBA. Okay, so here basically we are going to use basically we are going to print this whatever we wrote here using VBA, so it will create the file automatically for us like this. Let me just comment this out. So before that, we will use a free file. So I'll just quickly explain that as well. Let's say this DMI file number as long. Byte also will be enough in this scenario, but so this is going to be free file. So this will basically return, basically we are saying that we are going to use not free line, free file, that this will be a brand new, you know, like supply a file number that is not in use. So we are going to use a new file, okay, to write this. We are not using any existing file to do that. So we'll say open this file, which will be a file that we will supply as a parameter later. So open this file, and then for output as this. And then this is where we will start printing our code. Okay, so first we will get, we will have to print this out first. And here we'll say, we'll continue to use this. This will always return us a new line, comma, and then it's gonna be this. And we can replicate this line. Basically 3 lines we have here. This and this line. So since we already have this double quotes. I'm going to replace these double quotes with this symbol, and then we are going to run a replace of this with character 34. I think I got that right. 34 will be, yeah, double quote. So we'll just try this now. We'll say replace this with this, starting from the first itself. Just give me 1 second. Okay, so this will return us the correct file path at a later stage. And here, instead of this file, I'm gonna take in the target Excel file that we want to. Okay. So this will be the 3 lines we want to write into this, and then we will just close this. That will be pretty much it. Let's just give it a shot. So let's say that we have this other file. Let's say this is demo2. Let's say we want to write a command to open this file on runtime. We'll say test. And then we will create batch file, and then this will be the target file to open, and let's call this as this workbook.path, and let's call this file as test1.bat. So if this works fine, basically what is going to happen is it's going to take these 2 parameters. We are calling this function, which will trigger these lines, and it's going to open the file for output, and then it's going to print these 3 lines and close back the file by saving it. Okay, so I'm going to run this. As you can see, it's already there. Okay, and let's take a look at the code. Okay, this part did not get replaced. That's my bad. This part will have to be this one. Just want to make sure this works fine. So we want to have a double quote here and here as well. So okay, let's give it a try. I'm gonna just kill this. I'm just rerunning this code. So it has the correct file name, excel.exe, and let's start this with just 1 second. You can also totally remove that line, by the way. Should start off the demo2 file. Okay, so this is automatically created on runtime, and it is working fine. Okay, so this will be the line that we will we can use this code to create this. If you don't want to save this in advance, you can create like this file on runtime as well, and then you can use this particular line to trigger using a command. You can launch this particular file. Okay, now coming to the second part, I'll demonstrate how to check for updates and then auto like update itself. Let's call this module as self restart. Let me add a new module, and let's call this module and let's call this update handler. And our code, we can call this as check for updates. Okay, so in this example, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new folder here and let me just call this as server, okay? Let's say that you save your file somewhere in the shared drive, could be a SharePoint library or it could be in the internet, which VBA can download, check first and then download itself. And within this, I'm gonna create a text file. Using a text file is good because it does not take time to open or close. If you save this in the Access database, and if you definitely you can replicate using ADO and all this, which is really fast. But in case otherwise, I think this is simplest method, and it's not gonna fail as well because it does not have any dependency on any DLL or anything. So I mean, this by default comes with all the windows, so I should not have any problem. Uh, let's say this is version control.txt, and then within here we will have basically a date when the application was last published, latest version, and then we'll separate this with a pipe, and then I will have let's say that a latest version of that file. Let's say this version 1.1, and I'm gonna take the path and put it here. So the idea here is that our code here is basically gonna use this file as a constant variable. So constant, we can call this as version control file as string. Okay, so it will always check this file if there is a newer version. And this is gonna be our file to check all the time. Okay, so first it will check if there's updates, and then if updates are available, it will prompt the user if they want to update, and if yes, then we will update the file by getting the latest copy from the server into the drive. Yeah, so that will be a simple code we are gonna write here. Okay. Okay, so for this, we will use file system object basic code to basically open this notepad and check when was the last time. We can have every time you publish your app, you can maybe save this as let's say dev config or something like that, and then within this we can have let's call this app build. Okay, so this will store the date of the app build, date and time. We'll come back to this file in a bit. So first we'll say dim file object. I'll use late binding for this, and then we will need a version file as object. And we will set or we'll set up our file. In this we'll create object. You can also use early binding by referencing it to script in runtime. Dot file system object, and then what we'll do, we'll use this to open our file. Open text file, and then here we are going to specify our version control file, and we will open this. We will don't need to write it, and then at the bottom we can just close this. We'll just clear the memory. And here we will read the file. So basically, we'll try to just keep it to the simplest as possible. First, we will need so local, let's say local, this particular app build time. We'll store this as date time and then as date. Then we will need a, let's say this is server when it was last published as per this particular file, and then we will need this file. This will be the string. And then so first we are gonna read, we will need more variables. Let's say this is version read as string. Okay, so we will first read this. If let's check if there is data in the file. If not, version control version file dot at end of stream. Basically, if it is, then it's gonna return true if there is. It's just that we are not using the early binding, so the syntax are looking a little bit weird. But it doesn't error, so let's give it a debug after some time. So first we are gonna read, this will basically read the entire the line dot read line, and then so if we actually reference this to scripting runtime, it will make typing easier. Microsoft scripting runtime is what I'm looking for, and as as file system object. Now we have all these options, so okay, anyways, let it go for now. So this is gonna read basically read the line, okay, and once we get this data, we want to unwind this. So just call this, after reading, we will just basically unwind this data as again as string variant is fine. And this one here, we will basically use a split to split the data using that our delimiter. So our delimiter here is the pipe. Let's put that. Okay, so once we have that, we can set our server date and time is gonna be whatever this value first return, and then the second value is gonna be the path, the updated file if there's any updates. And now we want to the local, we set this up, local date time is gonna be sheet1.range, and then we want to get the app build of the current file. And basically now we are gonna do a comparison of this the one in this file, the date and time here, versus the one in that control file. Yeah. So this one, it's gonna check this, compare these two dates. If it is, like if this is a larger, then it's gonna bring in this file. That's the idea. So coming back to our code, we can basically say that if this date is, or we can just say if server date and time is more later, then we are gonna get we'll set this dim, let's say updates available. Let's call this is update available as boolean, and we will set this to true. If that's the case, then it's equal to true. Okay, so this part will return true if there is like newer versions of the file. You can either do with the time or you can do with the version number as well. If it is easier, you can simply plug in the number here and do a check as well. But if your version is like having more than one decimal, then it's gonna be difficult to validate. So I think date and time will be more easier to do so. Here I'm gonna backdate this to March and see if there is updates available. I'm gonna try and run this. This doesn't matter, but I'll just close this. So this is gonna return this time, and if I go and view the local windows, you'll see that read unwind has basically the first is the date and time of the server, the control file, and then this is the one file. If there's any updates, we are gonna get this file. So going further, here's gonna check, and it says it's true here. Yeah, so it's closing the file and then clearing the memory. Now let me make this to 4.2. I'll put it to future date just for testing. Now going back in, this is just reading, unwinding, and then here, this is the local time, and then this is the one in the server. And if I place my cursor, its update is false. Okay. Now once we have reached till here, now we know that if there are updates, we want to do certain things with it. So down here, let's do something with it. If this is true, then we want to prompt the user. So we will try and get the response as integer is fine. And we will ask here, so first the prompt, let's say to the user there is a newer version for download, and maybe we'll add a new line here, maybe new line or CRLF, whatever you're more comfortable. And we'll say here, do you want to update now? And we can, this be question, and then we want to get yes, no, or you can use the user form to make more customized if needed. New version available will be the heading. Okay, something is not working here. So if there is updates available as for this, then it's gonna check with the user if they want to update the file immediately. Then if the response is yes, then here is where we are gonna, first we're gonna copy latest file, and then we are going to create a batch file to start latest copied file, yeah, and then we will close the file, close this current file, and after creating this batch file we will trigger it. We will call to open it, and then we'll close this current file. That should be it. So copying part is simple. We'll just use file copy, and then source and destination we will specify here. So our source is gonna be the file in the server drive, yeah, and then the one in this particular we want to copy to local folder, so we will just use here this workbook.path. And then if you already have a fixed file name, I think it's always good to get the latest file name instead of hard coding the file. So in that we can use some, like I've put in the blog about this ready to use function. So simply go and copy this function into your, it will be much simpler that way. I'll just specify what we are going to use here. So from this, we just need to get the file name from the path. Okay, so if I use this, for example, just quick demonstration. It's all self-explanatory, but this workbook dot full name. So from the full name, it will just return us the file name. So if I do this, this is the full name of the file, and then once we use this function, it can just return us the file name. Yeah, so we'll just use this function. I'll leave the link in the video description, and sorry, we'll put here, and then file name of the server file. Okay, so that will just give us a file name. We want to copy it to this particular wherever this file is located. You can customize it further if needed. There are more useful things here. You can check if the folder exists. You can check if the file exists. Actually, we can test this out as well. So for example, if file exists, if this file exists only, then we want to copy it and proceed. Okay, so this will copy the file. This will be the source, and this is the destination file name. And now we will create a batch file. For this, we can reuse the function we already created here. So after copying, we will say create a batch file. The batch file path can be this path, and here we can say auto start dot bat, something like that. This file will be created, and then the file we want to start up will be this file, the new file that we copy. And then after creating this file, which will automatically create on runtime, whatever is the latest file is going to grab that file name. And we want the trigger. So going back here, we'll say shell, and then specify the batch file path. And this is the file we want to run after the file is closed. After creating the batch file, we will execute this, which will run after 5 seconds. In the meantime, we are going to close this file, this workbook.close. If you want to save it or not, you can specify that. Okay, so I think that will be pretty much here for now. And then later on, we might want to just delete this. If there was no updates, the next time it starts, we want to just kill this. We can check if this file exists first. If it is, then we want to just delete it. So this will become very handy when you have to, like send out updates silently. Making updates is easier this way. The user can directly synchronize it. themselves. Okay, so we can give this a run. Till here we have already tested if there is updates or not. And then if there is updates, basically this function will copy the file, source file, and then source file is going to come from here. This is going to be the source file. And then it will get pasted to the same directory with that file name in the server. And then it's going to open up that file, and then it will close. It will execute the bat, and then it's gonna close this file. Okay. So I'm gonna save this, and what I'll do now is just gonna copy this into the server, and I'll call this 2.0. And I'll put the updated time here when it was published, and I'll do this as well. Okay. But if you do in practical, then there's two things you will have to do: this time and this file, as well as when this particular file was published. Sorry, not this one. This as well, because the next time it's going to run, it's going to use this particular cell as date and time to verify for updates. Okay, so that as well you need to update. Okay, so now we are good. I'm gonna backdate again this so that it will check for updates as soon as the workbook opens. I'm gonna check for updates as soon as the workbook open here. Okay. Let me quickly check ourselves manually. I'll stop here. So update available true. So now I'm gonna execute line by line. So it says there's a newer version for download. Do you want to update? Yes. And then it's gonna check if the file exists. And then now it's gonna construct the file path, and it's gonna copy to the, as you can see, it's already copied. Now it's gonna create a bat, this same file with this auto start name, and it's gonna write this new file as a target, and it executes it now, and then it opens up this particular file. Yeah, so that's how it works. Let me just delete this file for now and run this file. So it says there's update, and then if I click yes, you'll see that let me just delete this file. I'll say yes. So it created this file automatically, and then it's gonna run it now and open it itself. Okay, so this way the user can automatically get the latest file and then start working on it. In the same link, you'll find that you can improve this definitely and customize it as per your requirement. You might want to close, like all the workbooks. So if you want to check if that certain workbook are open, you can use this function to check using the file name or the add-in. Mostly I use this for add-in updates. So if you want to replicate this to do certain things like that, you might want to close the add-in or the workbook that you want to update and then trigger that. So you can use this to check if the worksheet exists and all this. Okay, so that's pretty much gonna be for this video. If it has helped you, do not forget to leave a like. And if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below, and then I will try to come back as soon as possible. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.